Hello class 7 students. Welcome to Brainwaves class English. Today we are going to do chapter 1, 3 questions written by Leo Tolstoy. This is a very beautiful story written by him, a moral story that would guide the reality of life to you all. As the title of the story suggests, 3 question means it is actually the 3 questions that are asked by a king who thought that he would never fail if he know 3 things. The 3 things were: first one, what is the right time to begin something? Second question, which people should he listen to? And third question, what is the most important thing for him to do? The first question means that whatever work I'm doing, is it the right time to do that work? Second question means which people does he would listen? And third question mean that what is the most important thing for him to do? The king therefore sent his messengers throughout his kingdom, and he promised them that if anybody could give his questions correct answer, then he would pay large sum of money. Many wise men came to the king and they all answered these questions differently, but nobody could give his correct answer. Now, there were some parameters to decide that these answers are correct or not. So, no, not like that. The answers that would satisfy the heart of king, that would be the correct answer for king. Now, none of the answers could satisfy the questions of king. He decided to go to hermit, who is a wise man who would surely give him the correct answer, which would satisfy his heart. Before that, we are going to see that what were the suggestions that were made by the common people, and then we are going to talk about that what was the experience of king when he went to hermit. In reply to the first question, some said that the king must prepare a timetable and then work on it strictly. Only in this way, they said, could he do everything at a proper time. This was the first answer. First question, first answer. First question, next answer given by different people. That is, next answer he got that it was impossible to decide in advance which is the right time for doing something. Next answer he could hear that the king needed a council of wise men who would help him act at the proper time. This was because one man would find it impossible to decide correctly without help from others. And then some things could be urgent. These things would not wait the decision of the council. In order to decide the right time for doing something, it is necessary to look into the future. And only magicians could do that. The king therefore would have to go to a magician. Then somebody answered to the second question that some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors. Others said that priests. A few chose doctors and yet said that soldiers were more necessary. To the third question, some said that science, others started fighting, yet others choose religious worship. All these things people gave the answer. None of the answers could satisfy the king, and then he decided to go to hermit. When the king went to the hermit, he said that he came to ask some questions, and that questions only hermit could give the answer. Hermit was listening to the king, but he did not speak anything. He was digging hole and he continued his work. The king said that you look so tired. You hand over your work to me. You give your spade. I'll work in your place. Hermit given that spade to him and also greeted him thanks. Then he sat on the ground. King had dug 2 beds and then he stopped working and repeated his question. His question was the question that I had said firstly. Questions are written on the screen. Kindly go through the questions. Questions are important for you to know. Then hermit didn't give any answer, and he said, "You give me the spade, you do the rest and let me work." But the king didn't agree to hermit's proposal, and he continued to work. 1 hour passed, and then another also passed. Means 2 hours passed. The sun went down behind the trees, and at last the king again kept the spade, and he asked the same question. He said that he came to hermit for an answer to his question. If he could not give his answer, then he would return home. Here comes a different situation. A man runs toward king. The king turned, and then he saw a bearded man was running. His hands were pressed on his stomach, and from his hand blood was flowing. He reached the king, and then he fainted. Fainted means unconsciousness. The king and the hermit removed the man's clothing and found a large wound in his stomach. The king washed and covered it with his handkerchief, but the blood would not stop flowing. The king redressed the wound until at the last bleeding stopped. The man felt better now and asked for something to drink. The king brought fresh water and gave him to drink. At that time, the sun had already set and the air was also cool. The king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hut, and the man closed his eyes and he slept. Later, king was also very tired by his walk and then the work that he had done. So he lay down on the floor and he slept over there. When he awoke, it was some minutes before he could remember that who was the strange man lying on the bed and all these things. The bearded man then said in a weak voice that forgive me. Why he was telling so? The reason for this because he was the enemy of king, and he want to sword revenge to king because the king had put the bearded man's brother to death, and thus this bearded man wanted to kill king. He was hidden in a place so that when king would go back to his home, he would kill at that time. But king was working, thus he could not go back to home, and the bearded man left from that hidden place. The bodyguards of king could recognize that this bearded man is the enemy of king, and then they hurted that bearded man. Although that man could escape himself from there, and then he reached toward king. The main intention of that man was to kill king, but that king was the only person who saved him, who saved his life. Complete intention of that man changed, and that man promised that he would be the loyal servant of king, and even his son would also do the same thing. King was very happy because his enemy now became his one of the well-wisher. After that, he again went to the hermit and finally asked that, "What are the answers of my questions?" Then you know that what hermit replied? He replied that, "You have already got the answer." The king was thinking like you are. When? When I have got the answer? And how have I been answered? Hermit said that you already got your answer. Then king said like you all, exclaimed like you all that when I have got my answer. Then hermit explained him that if last day, if you have not pitied on my work and not taken my work and did by yourself, then you would directly ask the questions. I would give you the answer, and then you would go back and that beard man would kill you. So as you was working instead of me, you didn't went home last day, then the man that came to you, you worked for that man, you dressed that man, you helped that man, even saved the life of that man. That was the important work for that time you to do. And next, so that was the most important business. And the time that you had cared of that man, that was the most important time for that work to do. That means there is only one time that is important, and that time is now. Because now only we can work, we have that power to change that if anything is happening. That means overall power to do anything is now, not past, not future. So the most necessary person is the person you are with a particular moment, for no one knows what will happen in the future, whether we will meet anyone else. The most important business is to do that person good, because we were sent into this world for that purpose alone. This line means that the most important person who is standing in front of us in that particular moment, I need to work for that person, and that is the most important person in my life for that particular time. And whatever work is there in front of me, that is the important work for that time. And next is that whatever work I am doing, that should be a good work. Whoever person is standing in front of me, I should do that person's good, not that I'm going to wish for that person's bad. Because if I'm going to wish for that person's bad, definitely something would go bad for me also. Hope that this beautiful story has little bit changed your mindset, your thought of life, and hope that you understand the reality of life, the reality of work to do. So now, next day sharp at 8 p.m., we are going to meet with our next lecture. So be there with us. If you like our video, then surely visit our next video also. Next day, I'm going to give you the summary of chapter number 2. Till that, thank you very much. To visit our channel, click on the link that is given on the screen. Playlist is also created for you all.
It would be
the videos will be posted in the playlist